Peace and love. Can everybody hear? Can we all hear each other?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, so mic check. If everyone can unmute to see if your voice is coming in nice.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. All right, peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Somewhere in a Rainbow. This is our monthly conversation that we're going to be having. And we have something wonderful that we're going to talk about because it's the beginning of the new year, January. A lot of people make resolutions and so forth. But before we even get into our conversation, let's just stop for a few minutes and just take 3 deep breaths. Breathe in. Relax. Breathe in. Relax. Breathe in. Relax. That is a wonderful way of just letting go of anything that you have encountered this day and to just bring our focus to our conversation. I am Rashida Sharif. I am an artist and I'm an author. I've written 2 books, Somewhere in a Rainbow, Don't Come Down from the Chinaberry Tree. And I'm also the artist of these little trees that you see right here, and they're called sweet trees. They're good for meditation. Our topic for tonight is going to be forgive. Forgive. That is a topic that a lot of people have been coming to me and saying that it was very challenging for them to actually talk about forgiving or the ability to forgive, because they never really thought about it in depth. I'm going to start off by telling you that it never occurred to me that I needed to forgive until I actually wrote and finished my book. Don't Come Down from the Chinaberry Tree. It didn't occur to me, but Somewhere in a Rainbow it did. Session 19 in my book on page 150. If you have my book, you can reference it later. And if you don't have the book, I hope you go to my website, rashidasharif.com, and get it. Or if you want to drop me a little comment or some feedback on the website, as far as my communication is concerned, I'll read it to you. We can have a one-on-one about it. But that session 19, I went back to it and I read it again, before this session, forgive. And I revealed to my therapist that I needed to forgive. I needed to forgive. And I went into the whole spiel of forgiving. And after doing that, it was such a release because at that particular time, it needed to come out. But one of the things that I've learned throughout this whole journey of just thinking about forgiving and whether I should forgive somebody or whether somebody should forgive me, the one thing that I encountered and I understand, and my conclusion was that I needed to forgive myself. I actually needed to forgive myself. Forgive myself for allowing other people's mess to take hold of my spirit. And kind of like claim it for my own, whether that was in a relationship with somebody and feeling heartbroken and saddened because the relationship didn't work, whether that was somebody just being a bully to me in school, high school, or during the work days, because when you're at work, people can bully you too. And you wanna try to let it go and forgive them, but It's hard to, because you're seeing these people every day. Your mind can tell you, okay, I can forgive and I'm just going to let it go. But your heart is saying something different. So forgiving or the art of forgiving is different for everybody. Mine, as I'm imparting to you, is my ability to forgive myself. And I get a little shaky when I talk about it because it was quite a revelation. So I'm going to just stop right there and take a deep breath myself. Because if you have my book, page 150, session 19, Rose, myself, Rose, as portrayed in the book, talks about forgiveness and her ability to want someone to forgive, or she forgiving someone. Okay, so that's my spill on forgive. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's put it like that. Anyone care to comment, or anyone care to express how they're feeling? Let's talk, guys. Come on, let's keep it real. This is a real conversation. Okay, this is a real conversation. A lot of people make resolutions in January, and they say what they're going to do, what they're not going to do anymore, and they, want to feel good about starting new. For me, it was forgiving and realizing to forgive myself. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about forgiving?
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for me personally, when it comes to forgiving, I feel like most of my life I had a really hard time with forgiving. I had to understand that when it came to forgiveness, it's not your audio went out. Able to sleep peacefully at night. I need to be able to forgive them and say, you know what, like, I'm good with this. Like, we're good. I don't need to stress about this anymore. I don't need you to keep me up at night because, I need to be able to move on with myself. So that is something I had to learn about forgiveness. It's not about the other person. It's about me. I have to forgive for me to be able to move on and have peace with myself and be able to do what I need to do on a daily basis.
Okay. So let me ask you something. Now, I know with me, I had to do a lot of self-talking and like really coming to grips with understanding that it is all about me, and it is how I want to feel about a particular situation or occurrence. Can you relate to that, or is there some kind of self-talk exercise, or is there something you do to help you to arrive to that place? Because it's challenging for a lot of people, to forgive, and they say, okay, forgive, but you don't forget. Forgive, but you don't forget. Those little cliche-ish type sayings, comes out of people's mouths without even thinking. It's like almost automatic. So how do you do that? Because we all struggle with it. How do you do that?
So I feel like when people say, like sayings like that, I feel like it's more of a comfort thing for them, because that's just how people are trying to show other people that they cope. For me, like, it's like nobody else can tell me or give me advice on how to forgive someone that has done something to me. Like, especially like say someone's done something to you and they never apologized for it. Like, they knew they did something to you, but they never even acknowledged it and said sorry. Like, so you feel like, well, I don't want to forgive them. Like, they never even said sorry to me. But in actuality, it's like I need to forgive them. And it's a conversation I have to have within myself, because no one else is going to understand what that person did to me. Like, I'm the only person that knows what they did.
We're losing you. Your audio is going in and out.
No, it's not like advice that some.
If you can hear me, your audio is not working.
Did you guys hear everything I said? Because I feel
No,
like
no, we did not. No, we did not. Your audio went out. Can you recap, please?
yeah. So I was basically just saying that, you know, no one can understand what you as an individual are going through with someone. Basically, like, say someone does something to me and I come to you to talk about it, you know, like, you may, you know, try and empathize with me, but, you know, you're not going to be able to give me necessarily what, quote unquote, the right advice. You know what I'm saying? Because that's between.
Your audio is not working. We're really missing the bulk of what you're saying, and it's very profound. If you can just kind of recap the last portion of what you were saying.
What did you guys hear? I'm sorry. I don't know when I'm cutting out.
We missed maybe like the last 45 seconds of what you were saying as you was talking about people not really understanding, and it's not about them, it's all about you in terms of.
Yeah, you know, just like basically, like you were saying, you know, is it something that I do within myself? Yeah, you know, it's not something that anyone else can assist me with, because no one else can truly understand how someone made me feel when they did something to me that I feel I need forgiveness for, or they need forgiveness for.
Right. So pretty much what you're saying is that it all boils down to how you want to feel inside, regardless of what's going on with that person in terms of what they said or what they did or how they're treating themselves, really. Is that?
Basically.
Yeah.
I got something to say.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I speak?
Of course.
Me?
Of course.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, with me, it's two different things. The first thing is I have to have some kind of ritual to find closure. Because for me, it's getting past the anger and being able to close a door. And because in actuality, a lot of time for me, the inability to forgive is because I still want to put my foot in somebody's butt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I
yeah.
still have anger that I don't know how to deal with. And I can't ever go back to that person. It's not like you can go back to that instant, that person, and be able to have a resolution. So it's the anger that you hold on, and you know, realistically, it's illogical. It's only hurting you. People are going living their lives, but it's the fact that it has to be something concrete for me, something tangible, a ritual that once I do it, I actually feel better. And that's the hard part, is being able to let go of the desire to let them understand how much they hurt me. That's the thing. You want them to know you hurt me. You know, I want you to acknowledge it, take accountability. It's the fact that you can't get that closure. So the inability for people to forgive is, for me at least, is the anger.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I have little rituals that, you know, sometimes work and sometimes don't. And some of them probably are barbaric. You know, I'm on a journey. I'm on a spiritual journey. I'm trying my best. But I have to have physical, tangible things in order to be able to let it go. And a lot of times it is ignorant and out. I have to like cuss them out, even if it's a letter that I write that I burn, you know, even if it's, one time I wrote balloon faces. I had balloons and I put faces and wigs and all kind of stuff. And I had a bat and I beat the crap out of them. I maybe I have issues, but I have to do physical things in order to be able to move past that anger that You just don't understand what you did to me.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You're not accountable. And I can't hurt you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I can definitely relate to what you're saying in terms of the ritual aspect of it. And like you say, everybody come up with something that works for them. And there's no one thing, as far as I understand and have knowledge of, that works for everybody. I dance. I dance, I dance, and I used to play the drum, like not like play for professionally or anything, but just beat on drums, and there it goes with that beating again. And as far as the dance is concerned, I'm connecting with the earth. But at the end of the day, sometimes you still feel that hurt in the heart, even though the mind is saying, I've forgiven this person, or I'm going to just let this go, or why don't this person forgive me, or you need to make some kind of amends, So do you feel that it's like with one instance of forgiveness, like say somebody did something really, 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 really bad, something really bad to you, right? And this is my crown, y'all. But anyway, this there's something really, really, really bad to you, and or hurt you really bad. I'm gonna use relationship, for example, because a lot of us have had some type of relationship, and it doesn't have to be male, female. It can be female, female, male, male. It doesn't matter. A relationship with anybody, a parent, or a brother, or a husband, or wife, anybody, and that person do something to betray you. That person really do something to like really, really, pierce your heart in a way that you thought you never felt, or you never thought it would happen. Your mind can say, okay, I'll forgive this person, and so we can move on in the name of peace. But at the same time, your heart is not there, So how do you feel? What can we do, or how do you deal with a situation like that? Is that like a journey that goes on and on and on and on, or is that something that we can just say, okay, it's done and over. My heart and my head is balanced, so I'm all right with that. Anybody care to comment on something like that?
So
I'll comment. Oh, go ahead, Sam.
So I actually do have a comment on that one. In terms of forgiveness and everything along those lines. So for example, I've been wronged, I've had very bad things happen to me throughout my lifetime. And one of the things that I've at least come to realize now, is like in terms of forgiveness, it's not so much being able to forgive the other person. Depending on the relationship that you have with the other person, it may be something that you can work out with the other person. It may not. That depends on the person himself. But in terms of forgiveness, the main aspect of that is how you yourself feel. There has been times where I've been betrayed. There has been times where people who were close to me has taken advantage of me, and I have felt hurt. But especially now, I you could say that I forgive them. Like I'm aware of their action. It happened. Now I would never associate with them. Like to me, like they don't matter to me. But in the aspect of forgiving, it's more like how do I feel about it? It's obviously gonna bother me. But the moment I let it fester, the moment I let it swell, like being unable to forgive them, that becomes something that's more harmful than anything. When people say forgive and forget, I believe, at least I interpret it as it happened. You can forgive and don't forget. It happened. It is something that happened. It is something that will never change. And how you react, how you act going forward is completely up to you. But you shouldn't forget. It's happened once. Always just remember. Don't lull it, hold it over their head. Don't hey yeah, remember that one time when you betrayed me? It's just an aspect that you should be wary of, while at the same time not let it consume you. in order to forgive someone means to be able to move forward and continue on with your life without that one aspect holding you back.
Okay.
And to kind of piggyback off of that, I agree. Forgiveness is very personal, and I think little rituals to help you forgive. I think it starts with yourself. For like Sam was saying, and like Brittany was saying, forgiveness is something for you. It's not necessarily for the other person. It's for you, because if you don't forgive them, they're always going to live inside of your head, and you don't want that. It's a saying, they're living inside of your head rent free. And that's no good for your spirit. That's no good for anybody's, but forgiveness is deeply personal. So I think if you start small, like forgiving yourself, because I know, at least for me, well, I've gotten better, but I'm pretty much a perfectionist. I like things a certain way. And Mommy, I've gotten much better though, so that's good. But as a perfectionist, or as someone who has high standards for yourself and high standards for other people, you have to realize that no one is perfect, including you. So you need to allow yourself to make mistakes. And on a daily basis, when you make those mistakes, give yourself the room to forgive yourself. So I know everyone every day does something or says something that they kind of double think, or they kind of regret, or, oh, I should have done that a different way, or, something along those lines. But if you take a moment and allow yourself to forgive yourself for even the smallest things, I think that'll be easier down the line, forgiving other people for the bigger things that they've done. And I want to say Sam is one of the most, like, I've known what he's gone through. He's one of the most forgiving people, and I tell him that he's one of the most forgiving people that I've met. And I think that takes a lot of, you too, Mommy, I think that takes a lot of courage and a certain amount of strength, because not everyone has the ability to forgive so easily. Like for me, with small things, like I'll be driving, and you know how crazy people can drive, and they'll do something that they should not have done. And in that moment you get heated, but I'm trying to learn to just take a moment, take a few deep breaths, and forgive them, not for their sake, but for my sake, so they don't allow me to step out of myself, or they don't allow me to bring myself to a level of angry that I don't want to be at. So I think it's important to incorporate forgiveness into your everyday lives, because it'll help you, stay the person you are.
Yeah. I like the analogy you gave with the whole car situation, because I have this thing now when there's a possibility of a road rage situation that could occur with someone driving with you or alongside you, or whatever the case may be. I always instantly, I've trained myself to do this, I instantly think that person may be having some kind of health issue, or that person may have just came out of some kind of crisis, or that person may not be able to drive well at all. To help me, just like you were saying, to help me to not feed into that negative energy of whatever's going on with that person, and it's a constant. And one of the things that helped me do that immediately is my breathing. That's why I'm you'll always hear me talking about taking deep breaths throughout the day, or, just, finding yourself a quiet place just to have some serenity for just a few moments. It don't have to be long and drawn out all throughout the day, just a few moments, because those deep breaths in that moment that you find yourself in a quiet space is a form of forgiveness. It's a form of forgiveness. And I have not always felt this way. You know, like I said, the book, writing the book, publishing the book, Somewhere in the Rainbow, and session 19, we talking about forgiveness and asking, you know, talking to a therapist and asking my children to forgive me, you know. But the reality of it all is that I should have forgiven myself, you know, forgiven myself. And it took that to help me to realize that I needed to learn how, I learned how to forgive myself. Because a lot of times we're taught certain things, whether it's in the home setting, whether it's in school, whether it's with our friends, we're taught certain things that's not of us, but it become a part of us because, you know, of this particular situation that we're in.
So
Okay.
I think I have like a general question. Given the current climate of, well, the world really, but specifically this country, how would we go about forgiving for our own personal sake everything that we've been seeing that's going on now? I mean, that's pretty broad, a broad question, but how do we forgive that? Because I know a lot of people would see, you know, watch the news or learn about all the things that's happening, or the people rioting because who knows, with Confederate flags and, you know, whatever they believe in. How do we, I know some people live closer to it. Luckily for us, even though we live in Florida, even though, you know, we live in an area that's more conducive to how we think. But for people who don't have that privilege, they are in the thick of it. What would you suggest to them about forgiveness and kind of not letting those negative energies interfere with who they are? Because I see a lot of people burning out because of it. You know, in a state of depression because of just the whole year 2020 in general. So what would you, if, I mean, anyone can answer this, but
I'd like to chime in. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good to see all of you guys. I'm sorry I was a little bit late, but good to see the fam.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to tell you, when it comes to forgiveness, I have, I'm really, it's really difficult for me to say that I've ever really had a need to forgive anyone for much. I don't really feel like in my whole life, 52 years, that I've ever experienced something that, you know, made me troubled so much that I need to forgive someone. It may be because of my personality. I tend to be very black and white. I don't really have a gray area. I'm either all in or I'm all out. And when the area is gray, I'm very uncomfortable there. I don't like gray areas, right? So what I tend to do is like I view this like forgiving someone as my need to kind of uh, make someone get justice for something that they've done. It's like my desire to make them get justice or to make them see my way, right? And I think I learned early in life that you can't make someone get justice, okay? There's probably a reason why they say justice is the Lord's, because anytime someone tries to institute justice, they either fail or they do it incorrectly, right? You can't bring justice to people. And in addition to that, often when you want someone to see things from your perspective, you feel hurt, for example, by the comments or the opinions of some racist, right? So you'll be online or something like that and get into a social media debate with somebody that's saying some stupid stuff like, you know, buying black is reverse racism, for example. You know what I mean? And you want to debate it out with them. But then you stop and you realize that their problem is not that they don't know the facts. So enlightening them is not going to work. they already know the facts. Some people, their problem is they just don't like the facts, or they don't care about it. Okay, or they're just not at a spiritual state where they can be above things like their own insecurities or their own sense of competition or whatever. They're just not there, right? And they're operating from a lower faculty than you, and you're trying to get them to operate from a higher faculty, and that's going to be impossible. It's like trying to get a bird to recognize its reflection in a mirror. They don't have the gray matter to recognize their reflection in the mirror. They'll never, a bird will never recognize that that's him in the mirror, right? So when you realize that it's futile, then you kind of divorce yourself from the need to bring people to justice when they're wrong, and you leave that to the universe, to the Most High, and just trust that they will be brought to justice, right? And their enlightenment somehow, some way will come. But the only thing that you need to focus on is what's before you. If this person's, for example, this person's opinion, racist opinion about me and my people or whatever, their opinion doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't. It's not going to stop me from doing what I'm trying to do. It's not going to stop my daughter from going to college. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to stop me from excelling. So it's a waste of my energy to let it be siphoned off by them. And a lot of times people will literally do that for the purpose of siphoning your energy away. You'll be on like a Instagram site that's very positive, like for example, people of color in tech. There's a bunch of engineers, Black engineers on this site talking about, engineering stuff and helping other, people of color sell their products and things like that. All of a sudden one person gets on there and throws out some stupid racist stuff. Now you got this debate about all, people debating with each other about stuff that's totally irrelevant to what our function is, and it even goes into some dark corners. People start talking about the Jews, and they talking about pointing fingers at each other. You know what I mean? And they just segued you away from what you were doing that was actually productive. You know what I mean? And so the need to forgive these people, the way to deal with that is to not need to forgive them. Understand that they're like a bird that can't recognize their reflection in the mirror. And that's just the way they are. That's just the way birds are. You know what I mean? And once you do that and realize that, you're actually in a higher place than they are, and you can't help them other than by your example. And if they ever get higher, it won't be because you did it, because you made them get higher. Somehow they're going to have to walk the path and get higher the way they're supposed to get higher. Then it won't bother you as much. Just get out of my way. I'm gonna go around you. I'm gonna go through you. I'm gonna go above you. But I don't have the need to forgive you. You know what I mean? Because really, you've done nothing to me. You're doing something to yourself, and I'm doing something for myself. That's it.
All right.
That's all 72 million of them.
I say to that. Dismiss them.
That's right. That's right. You don't even have to hate them. You don't even have to hate them.
Love it. My daughter told me I should pause before I jump right in. She told me I should pause and give people time to speak because I'm like really quick, Okay. I kid myself sometimes by saying I have ADHD because my mind travels like Mercury. Everybody has a planet that they relate to in terms of their energy. My mind is like Mercury.
Okay. Well, that's all right.
Just a little jokey joke, y'all.
I thought that was a dramatic pause, so I said, let me just let you have your dramatic pause. But I do would like to add, good evening, everyone, and I do apologize myself that I actually came a little late. I said I would take a cat nap for 10 minutes, and I woke up and it was 6:22. And those who know me really well, they know that is the truth. So I do apologize, but I do appreciate everybody, giving their perspective on forgiveness or whatever. And I wanted to kind of piggyback off of Troy's, cousin Troy.
How you doing, Karen?
I'm doing fine. And, I was just thinking about that analogy you made about the bird and just not having the gray matter to even process what is going on. It's not even a reality. They're not on this frequency. There are individuals that, you feel like I have been in a space before where I forgave someone, but it hurt. It was still bothering me so badly. But now, and I'm like, why is it still like uncomfortable, like walking with rocks in my shoes, And so, and when you think about it, I think Troy, what he said resonated with me, because I think when you think about it in hindsight, I knew that person really did not have any idea or concept of what I was, trying to process myself so I could move forward, so, and I knew that, so it actually bothered me even more. So I think when you shift your mindset, to realize there's just going to be certain things that, that happens that, the person or whatever the situation is not even forgivable. It's not that it's not forgivable. It's just that it's not even it's not even within the same context. It's not even reality. It's not even on the same frequency. So I just kind of, I think this adage is like ignorance is bliss sometimes. I just kind of realized that, this is something going on with them, not me per se. I mean, for those who worked with children, or you have to deal with their parents, and they, and they have called you all types of name on earth, and you're wondering, I'm trying to help your child, and to yourself, and you try to be professional, you try to not go there with them, and so it was just something that you said, Troy, that just resonated with me. I was like, oh, that's a different perspective, because I do know when it's with someone I really love, I don't like being angry. To me, when I'm angry at somebody and I feel like they hurt me or wronged me, I feel a lot of heaviness on my chest if I hold it there. So I don't say I forgive them, but I have learned how to move on. I know how to keep it pushing. That's what I do. I keep it pushing, because I'll be lying. People say, "Oh, I forgave." No, I just learned how to keep it pushing. I took a couple of deep breaths, inhaled and exhaled, and with that exhale, I exhaled you out my system. Not to say that I actually, because some things are not always forgivable. It's not even in the category of being forgiven or whatever. It's just something different. So yeah, it was just something you said that made me just switch. It was like an aha moment. I said, oh, okay. That's what it was. So I appreciate what you share, because it, like I said, in that moment, I just thought about something. It was an aha moment, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's like trying to talk to a wall and expecting an answer back. I'm like, okay, so that's enough. Thank you. I just wanted to, I just appreciated that. And it just gave me a whole different perspective at 49. I was like, okay, you never too old or too intelligent to learn something new. So thank you.
And sometimes I'm that bird that can't recognize his reflection in the mirror. All of us probably are. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It goes both ways. All of us probably that bird sometimes, So.
Absolutely. I agree. I've been that bird before plenty of times.
That bird tattooed on your ankle, don't you? You got that was your first tattoo. Anyway.
Thanks for sharing that, Mom.
She knew what you said was very profound. You know, the question you posed to the group was very profound. You know, I'm thinking about that, and I have thought about that. You know, in terms of how do you forgive the masses, in terms of the negative energy that's out there. Is that was the question, right? How do you move on? How do you forgive them? Or do you need to forgive them, or should you forgive them? And if you do, what's the process of do what do you tell yourself, you know, when you know that no matter what, it's going to always be there, that negative energy is going to always be there. I've always looked at that and in terms of the way I come to terms with it is I look at it as a yin and a yang, or a black and a white, or up and a down, or a high and a low type situation. That energy is always going to be there. It kind of like helps you keep yourself in check, you know, and keep yourself aligned with the light of your world in terms of how you want to live in the direction you want to go in. Because there will be times, however, that negative energy, you know, will pounce on you when you're most vulnerable, and cause you to, you know, stray a little bit to their side, you know, to that energy, you know, like maybe premeditating something in your head to do to them, or also mindful. So, you know, or you know, say something ugly to them, because I've caught myself in stores just recently, because some people feel as though they're privileged, and they just want to, you know, not get out your way, or just, you know, bump into you, you know, when you're shopping, or getting your groceries or whatever. And I found myself, you know, being a little like, oh yeah, right, bet. You know, I found myself doing that sometimes, you know, like, you know, purposely, you know, and I had to check myself a couple of times, because that's just human nature too. You know, we might go there, but we always have to be also aware of who we are inside, you know, that source that we have inside of us that we feed off of to keep us going every day. We feed off, and I'm sure everybody on this platform, we feed off the light, you know. And when I say light, I don't mean light. I mean, I mean the light in terms of positive energy, in terms of keeping us healthy in a holistic way, keeping us healthy in terms of what we eat, what we think, the kind of smells we put on our body, you know, the kind of thoughts we think. That's what I'm talking about in terms of the light. That positive energy is holistic. So on the opposite end of that would be that negative energy that, you know, don't really care about what goes into their body, or the thoughts that they think, or the things they do to people, or the evil they premeditate to do to others as well. So being aware, you know, Chi-Chi, to me personally, and then somebody else might have something they want to add. Troy added the analogy of the bird, which was awesome, which was excellent. I'll never forget that. But to me, it's like just being aware of who I am and how I want to be. And like Troy was saying, not letting, you know, I'm just some paraphrasing or summarizing what he said in my own words, not letting their negative energy succumb to who you are, take you over, you know. And all of that is an act of forgiveness. You know, even with me saying a few moments ago about me, like, you know, wanting to give somebody an elbow, you know, because they don't want to get out my way and they see me, you know, to me, to be aware of that's not right is an act of forgiveness, because I have to immediately forgive myself for even wanting to do that, you know. And I found myself doing that a lot here. So people, you know, like, you know, the state of the world, like you were saying, the whole of 2020, you know, the state of a lot of people's minds are not that healthy. So people who profess to have healthy minds, or profess to call themselves spiritual, we have to go far and beyond, you know, with what we do and how we do it. That's why we are doing what we're doing now. You know, it's like Queen Mother Moore said, each one teach one, each one reach one. You know, we have to kind of reach one with what we know in terms of our knowledge and our wisdom. And we all become aware.
Mommy, I think also, you know, when you talk about forgiveness, I'm still like trying to think, you know, I think once you hit a level of understanding, and I think that's what I do a lot of, so that takes me to a place where forgiveness is not even there. I just try to put myself and I tap into another frequency of understanding. So sometimes it makes it's easy to process the whole overall situation. When someone does something, the supremacists, people, whatever is going on, I have to put myself at another level of understanding. So when I understand the bigger picture or dive deeper, then it's not about forgiveness to me. I understand that, this person is not there, because this is the frequency. They're operating on the lower frequency, not to say because they intentionally are, this is where they at. So, so I just have to, or as a people, as an individual, I just literally have to dive in. Why, I wonder what made this person, behave this way. Or I wonder, or I'm not surprised this person based on their circumstances, so I go into a whole nother level of understanding because, everybody have their different traumas, they have their biases, they have things that they were taught, the cultural norms, so I try to dive really, really deep. So I think just to understand for me is it's not even a forgiveness piece. When people apologize, I'm sorry that I cursed you out, Miss Crawley.
Mhm.
And but I have already moved forward because I understand that this person was operating in a space where they were hurting probably or felt not relevant, or or let's say this, it could have been not about me. How about that? Sometimes we think it's about us. That's their issue. It may not be about us, but unfortunately I was there, and so I don't take it personal. In most cases I don't. The only time it becomes personal if it's really someone I truly, truly love, and I still have to, it's just a little more challenging to stretch that muscle to try to really understand what's really going on. So, it's not I don't even get into the forgiveness. I don't think it's been many moons that I said I forgive someone. I will say I understand what they're going through, or I try to put myself in their place, So, but that takes a lot of time and years, that I wasn't always like that, literally.
I just want to say, I think, like Shakira, you saying that made me realize, I think there's levels to forgiveness. I don't think it's just black and white. It's not, and I think everyone has their own definition of what forgiveness is. I think forgiveness is something you extend to someone that you are close to and that you understand. And I think the person that you're forgiving, even if it's yourself, I think it has to be, like you said, a level of understanding that you have towards that person to even begin to forgive them. But like what Troy was saying, if it's something like something that doesn't even pertain to you, if it's some harm or some negative energy that someone else is putting out into the world that has nothing to do with you, but has everything to do with how ill their mind is, that does not need your forgiveness because it has absolutely nothing to do with you. So I think there's levels to forgiveness because not everybody needs to be forgiven. Not everything needs to be forgiven. But some things do. And I think, and I think everyone has their own understanding or idea of what forgiveness is. Because some people can forgive complete strangers. I can't do it. I cannot, I've never been able to, because I'm the type of person where if you've grown or you know better and you don't do better, why am I going to forgive you, or why am I even going to give you a second chance if you know better? I'm that type of person. But if I understand you and I understand what your intentions were, then I will have the capability to forgive. Otherwise, no.
It's really amazing that we're having this conversation because everybody has talked about forgiveness on different levels. As you said, you know, forgiveness is there's different layers, different levels. It's personal, it's not personal, you know, and you just have to deal with it accordingly. I know for me, one of the things that that for me, it's emotional too. It's emotional, you know, because it took a long time for me to actually realize I needed to forgive a particular situation, a particular relationship. It took decades before I even realized I needed to forgive it, you know, just forgive it, you know. But once I did, I realized, again, like I said earlier, it wasn't about forgiving what that person had done to me. It was forgiving myself for actually allowing myself to harbor that energy for so long. You know, for harboring that energy so long and the damage it done to me internally, you know, whether it was just mentally, physically, spiritually, because all that is connected. It just did a job on me and I didn't even know it was doing a job on me. You think you're living good, but you ain't living good because you harboring this negative energy. But it comes a time when you, I'm a writer. So writing is my release. If you know, I try to write, I write raw, but I try to keep it, you know, on a, I try not to go overboard with it, but I write, you know, and when I do write something, I put it out there for real, and it's helped me to understand myself better. You know, like some people paint, some people like martial arts, you know, some people, you know, like cooking, you know, whatever you do to release whatever you need to release to help you, you know, everybody got their own thing, but yeah, personal, very, very, my whole forgiving thing has been very personal in terms of not just saying I'm gonna forgive this person or this situation, but realizing that and to not let myself get upset with myself for doing it, for harboring the energy, because you know that thing can flip on you too. You know, you realize that you've been harboring all this negative energy, and then you're like, damn, what's the matter with you? You know, you don't want to go there either. You know, you want to be able to, like, you know, be thankful and you know, let that be a blessing or something wonderful that happens to your awareness, that you have reached that level of understanding of yourself, because it all comes back to you. It all comes back to you in terms of your awareness, which in turn turns to wisdom, your wisdom. You know, once you experience something, it's going to always be there. Those level of energies, you know, that's why I love color so much. Those energy levels, they all represent something, you know, and you know, like, you know, red having the courage, and orange having the faith, and yellow having the intellect, and green keeping it balanced, and that turquoise is just being able to express your true self, and that indigo being aware, and that purple is that wisdom, you know. And then all of a sudden you got that transparent white, which means that, you know, ta-da, you there, you arrive, you peace, you know, and nothing can break that. Nothing can break that. You know, that's where the discipline comes at. But yeah. We got about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 more minutes. About 7 more minutes. Dramatic pause.
Look, hey, mommy, I do think that when you and I'm acting like my mother's the only one on this call, but Rashida, this is the only time I can get to say her name for real, Rashida. So when you stated that, just like the chakras, the different levels, I think there's different levels of understanding. I noticed that when I was younger, my level of understanding, and not knowledge, but understanding, was not where it's at today. So I struggle with being able to move past a situation. But as you know, with years and living on this earth, you gain more, you know, experience and wisdom. Then my level of understanding actually elevated, and so that's why I was able to move. You know, that's why I was able to kind of move forward, and you know, and not even think of a situation where I have to forgive. It's just like my level of understanding have, you know, evolved. You know, that's why, you know, you see people who, and it amazes me. I think I would struggle if someone did some harm to a loved one, my kids, or my mom. These are like, I mean, people, you won't. Yeah, I would struggle there. But do you see these people who are able to articulate, "I forgive you for killing my child"? Like and I'm not there. I'm not there. My understanding to get stuck. I will get stuck, literally 100%. But you see people do it all the time. Like I see shows where these mothers go to these prisons and they face their child's murderer and say, "I forgive you." Maybe I know they have to be at another level of understanding that has nothing to do with degrees or anything else. Like it's just a whole nother level. So I'm going to say understanding, because I surprise myself when I'm able to move past things. You ever been in the space where you say, "Wow, me 5 years ago or me 2 years ago would have reacted and responded totally different." But unless you live in a balloon or somewhere or on a deserted island, you are constantly learning. Like today, in this moment, 5 minutes ago, I'm much more knowledgeable than I was before I got on this call, listening to everybody, perspective that's shared. And so, that elevates your level of understanding again. So I think it aligns with what you said, Mom, with the different chakras. So, I'm absorbing it in like a sponge, and it's making sense to me.
Okay, we have about 3 more minutes. Anybody want to end with anything?
Oh, Rashida, I just want to tell you, I believe that.
876. Yes, ma'am. Spicy chocolate sauce and lemonade. Yes, it's 876.
Okay. I thought I was talking over somebody.
Oh, go ahead.
I believe that the person that's seeking wisdom is as good as the person who's found it. Okay, and the person who's trying to be better is as good as the person who's the best. You know what I'm saying? So striving for these things is just as important as having achieved them. And you choosing a topic like this and choosing the other topics that you've chosen for us to contemplate, in an intricate way, is really, it shows you're a seeker. You know what I mean? So in the case of forgiveness, for example, if you look for forgiveness, you already got it. It doesn't even matter if the other person is the person you're seeking it from. You understand what I'm saying? Is able to see that. If you're seeking forgiveness, you already got it. You know what I mean? And by bringing us all together to contemplate things like this, things that help better us, then we've already gotten better. You know what I mean? We're seeking to be better, so we just as good as the best. So, thank you for that. You know what I mean?
Thank you for that. That's it, done deal. Listen, this has been wonderful. This has really been wonderful. Thank you all for coming and joining in on the conversation, because that's what it is. It's a conversation. We need to have more conversations with each other, so that way we be strong together. We become better together. Because we're already better, right?
That's right.
Rashida Sharif, and thank you for calling me mommy and auntie and everything else. But if you haven't already, go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I put videos up all the time. And visit my website. If you haven't gotten my book, I think everybody up here got my book. If you haven't gotten my book, it's a joy. I say you laugh. It's really raw. It's pretty good. It's in 3 sections. The first section is about my journey in terms of my life journey. The second section is with me with a therapist. Yeah, right. And the third section is about the healing. Okay, it's like in 3 sections. So I don't just leave you in a situation. It's not just you're not left in a situation where, oh, she's talking about all this stuff that she done been through, blah, blah, blah. No, it's the healing too. All that stuff was healing, just like what we're doing right now, And I appreciate you all. And we got like 1 minute. No, it's 7 o'clock right now. I did want to play this song. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but
We're broken down and tired
Can you hear it?
of living life on the merry-go-round.
I just love it.
You can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Ooh, mountains, we gon' walk it out, and mountains.
We can move mountains.
And I rise up,
When you rise
I
up.
rise like the day. I rise up, I rise unafraid. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times.
I'm not gonna play the whole record, but it's a nice song by this young lady named Andrea Day, and it's called Rise Up, and I just love the lyrics. It's very nice. It's a very nice song. But until next time, guys, February 22nd. Yeah, next time. Another
All
time.
right.
Oh, if you have any ideas for topics, please drop me a text message or email, or however your communication style is, do it. Call me, whatever, don't matter. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you all. Peace and blessings.
Love you.
Love
Love
everyone.
you. Remember to breathe, breathe, breathe,
Okay.
breathe,
Okay.
breathe.
Breathe.
I was trying to turn it up, but I turned it down.
Mommy, I'm trying to hang up, but I can't.
Breathe through his feet. Mountains, and I rise like the day. I rise up, I rise unafraid. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. And we will rise, we'll rise, we'll rise. Oh, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times.